Part 4. Kenan. This is from page 241 to page 246. Another day has just begun. Light strains its way into the apartment, where it finds Kenan in his kitchen, his hand reaching for the plastic jug containing his family's final quarter-liter of water. It's been 4 days since he last went to the brewery for water. It's almost always 4 days between trips, 5 if it rains. Today's trip will be different, he knows. Today is the day the cellist will play for the 22nd and final time. The air is cold this morning. Kenan wonders if the weather is changing. He hopes they'll have enough warm clothes to last the coming winter. Firewood will be a problem as well. He doesn't know where it will come from or how he'll get any. He'll find a way somehow. Kenan pushes his chair back from the kitchen table and picks up an empty water bottle. He goes over every part of it, checking for cracks or holes. He repeats the process with each of his 6 bottles. On the 4th, he finds a small crack, which worries him. It hasn't gone all the way through, but it will, and there's no way to tell when. He decides to switch it with one of his spares. Better not to risk it. He hears a stirring in the sitting room where Amila and their children sleep. He hopes he hasn't woken them. It's still early. There's no reason to get them up yet. Better they remain asleep. Who knows whether they might have to spend tonight in a shelter where it's almost impossible to get any rest. As quietly as he can, he picks up the last of their water and makes his way to their bathroom. He turns on the switch for the light out of habit, but nothing happens. He lights a stub of candle beside the mirror and begins to shave. Someday, he thinks, he will shave again with hot water and a sharp razor. Every day will be full of small luxuries like this, and he will enjoy every single one of them. He rinses his face with the last of the water and leans in to blow out the candle. As he inhales, there's a familiar tinkling sound, and the light bulb in the ceiling pops to life. A harsh yellow light fills the room, and his eyes adjust to its brightness. Kenan smiles. He blows out the candle and goes to the closet, where a small charger is connected to a car battery. If the power stays on all day, he'll be able to listen to the radio for the next 2 weeks. If it stays on overnight, they can perhaps run a light for the few hours each night. He checks the charger, watches its green light glow. The battery is charging. Amila emerges from her bed. He smiles at her and points to the light in the ceiling. She grins, raises her hands in celebration. If the children weren't asleep, Kenan would put a CD on, something fast and cheerful, and they would shout and dance. Even though he doesn't, knowing he can is enough. Do you think it'll stay on for long? She asks him as he gets up and goes back into the kitchen. He nods. Could be. I guess there's no way to tell. Kenan begins to tie up his bottles, 3 to a side. Be careful, she says, and he smiles. Of course, I always am. The light flickers, but doesn't go out. Amila rolls her eyes. Pick up one of the large boxes of chocolates while you're out, she says, and 2 dozen eggs. Yes, certainly, that's a lot of eggs. I'm going to bake a cake, a very large cake. Ah, in that case, I'll buy some brandy as well. He leans in and kisses her. Good idea. Nothing goes with cake like a good brandy. She rests her hands on the small of his back, and she puts her head on his shoulder. I'm tired, she says, almost whispering. I know, he says. I'm tired too. They stand like this until Kenan begins to feel time weighing down on him, and he steps back, kisses her again, and moves towards the door. Once he's in the hall, he sits down on the steps and presses his forehead to his knees. He doesn't want to go out. He doesn't want to have to walk through the streets of his city and look at the buildings, and with every step be afraid that he's about to be killed. But he has no choice. He knows that if he wants to be one of the people who will rebuild the city, one of the people who will have the right even to speak about how Sarajevo should repair itself, then he has to go outside and face the men on the hills. His family needs water, and he will get it for them. The city is full of people doing the same thing as he is, and they all find a way to continue with life. They're not cowards, and they're not heroes. He has been to hear the cellist play every day since the shelling at the brewery. Each day at 4 o'clock, he stands in the street with his back pressed against a wall and watches as the city is reassembled and its people awaken from hibernation. Today is the last day the cellist will play. Everyone who died in the street while waiting for bread will be accounted for. Kenan knows no one will play for the people who died at the brewery or those who were shot crossing the street or any of the other victims of countless attacks. It would take an army of cellists. But he's heard what there was to hear. It was enough. Kenan stands up and makes his way down the flight of stairs. On the ground floor, he stops in front of Mrs. Rostovsky's door. He listens for sounds of life, wonders if she's awake, if she knows the electricity has come back on. She's usually the first to know such things. He straightens himself, clears his throat, and knocks on the door. He hears a shuffling inside, but the door doesn't open. He knocks again, louder this time, and waits for Mrs. Rostovsky to answer the door, to bring him her bottles so he can begin his long walk down the hill, through town, up the hill to the brewery, and back again.